Welcome to the Direct Certification Training for the National School Lunch Program. This training will begin by covering the Direct Certification basics before looking at more detailed information, including utilizing the enrollment option, looking at the match list and possible match list functions. We'll follow that by explaining how to utilize the student lookup option, as well as how to utilize direct verification before providing some supporting resources at the end of the training. Let's begin by looking at the direct certification basics. Direct certification is an electronic data matching process that's federally mandated and facilitated by the Nebraska Department of Education. And the students directly certified are based on their participation in a qualifying program that's administered by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Direct certification has the benefit of increasing participation in the school meals program while also reducing the administrative burden for school staff. A quick look at the Direct Certification Systems website shows a variety of tiles that we'll talk about throughout the rest of this training. Notice on this slide the qualifying programs for which meal benefits can be issued through direct certification. SNAP, TANF, FDPIR, and Medicaid free and reduced benefits are able to be extended to other students in the household. However, children identified as foster children cannot have their meal benefits extended to others with whom they live. Migrant and homeless students are not identified in the direct certification match list. Therefore, meal benefits issued to them must have supporting documentation provided by the migrant and homeless liaisons that serve your school. An important direct certification date occurs in July. On July 1, at the start of a new program year, the old data tables with which student enrollment information is matched to Department of Health and Human Services information is cleared. At that time, schools are advised to update their student enrollment data in the Advisor Person ID system. This is true for both public and non-public schools, or they can upload a completed student information data table into the C&P Direct Certification System, and more details on this will be shared later in the training. Throughout the remainder of July, matches will start to populate the match list and a possible match list as nightly matches are being made to add newly identified students. Schools will distribute notification letters to households identifying matched students and their meal benefit level. Federal school nutrition regulations require that school food authorities update their student enrollment information at least 3 times annually in August, October, and February. Remember, student enrollment information is used to make matches with information provided by DHHS. And public schools' student information systems are usually approved to communicate with Advisor in late August or early September. After that has happened, then in many cases, the communication between a student information system and Advisor occurs automatically every day, so that 3 times a year student enrollment information update is happening much more frequently actually, and it's a pretty automated process. On the other hand, non-public schools need to regularly update their student enrollment information in the Person ID Advisor system, which for those is probably a more manual process. And again, the purpose of ensuring that your enrollment information is updated and current is to help ensure that all eligible students who should receive meal benefits through direct certification are identified in a timely manner. Ongoing tasks that are important for the duration of a school year, which runs from July 1st to June 30th, include accepting, transferring, and/or removing students that are placed in the match list or possible match list, sending notification letters to households as students appear on the direct certification match list, Utilizing the DC reports for data reporting, especially important during the verification reporting period. Also, setting up direct certification system notifications might be necessary for staffing changes that occur throughout the school year, in addition to keeping advisor person ID updated, which we talked about on the previous slide and will continue to discuss throughout the training. Let's begin by taking a closer look at utilizing the Student Enrollment tab as a way to identify matches. This is especially important for the beginning of a new school year, which again starts July 1st and is often done before student information systems are approved to interface or talk with the advisor system. There is important information and important distinctions to make between non-public and public schools when it comes to identifying matches for a new school year. Non-public schools must upload student data into Person ID beginning in June and then ongoing as needed in the lead up to a new school year. In order to keep match lists current for the duration of the school year, periodic updates to Person ID need to be done. Public schools, on the other hand, must upload a complete student information file into the C&P Direct Certification Enrollment tab. After the school's student information system is approved to interface or communicate with advisor, the upload of enrollment information in the DC system is no longer needed because automatic daily updates or communication between advisor and the DC system will take place. Direct certification utilizing the enrollment module to identify eligible students can be completed in one of two ways. Schools can complete a file that includes information on all of their enrolled students, and then overnight a match list will be generated based on all of the data provided. On the other hand, schools can choose to attempt to make matches on individual students. The student enrollment file is available at the link on the slide you see here. It's important to note some formatting requirements for a successful upload of student enrollment information. Each of the data elements identified on the left side of the table is reflected as a column of required information in the student enrollment template file. Note two important things. The school building number must be a 3-digit number. It does not include your county district number. Rather, it is only the 3 digits identified for the building at which the student will attend or is enrolled. Finally, the student birth date must be formatted to include the month/day/4-digit year of the date of birth for the student. After the file is completed in the format identified in the previous slide, save it as a CSV or Excel file format, then choose it. Finally, click the green Upload button, and then revisit the match list the following day. Data is matched in the overnight process, and the matches appear in the match list the next business day. The picture at the top of this slide displays the enrollment file that you would complete and upload into the Enrollment tab of the Direct Certification System. The picture also identifies the order of the 7 pieces of information that must be provided in order for matches to successfully occur. The first column on the left, column A, is the school building number, and it must contain 3 digits. In some cases, this means that building numbers need to have 1 or 2 leading zeros. And the pictures in the bottom half of the slide display how to achieve that in order to not have to manually enter 3 digits for each school building. First, you select column A with a left click, and then right click to select Format Cells. The Format Cells dialog box will open, where you want to select Custom, and then scroll to the bottom of the available list or types to select the option that displays 3 zeros, and that selection is highlighted in blue in the snip on the bottom right of the screen. Then click OK. All of the values already in the column A or that will be entered into column A will be formatted to contain 3 digits. Column B will contain the student ID. Column C will be the student's NDE ID, followed by the student's last name, then first name, and student gender identified by either an M or an F. And finally, you will provide the student's date of birth using slashes between the month, the day, and the year. The preceding slides discussed how to add enrollment documentation for a large batch or large number of students. We understand, though, that there might be instances in which adding a single student to your enrollment is necessary. For example, a student that transfers to your school in the middle of the school year, or you get a newly added student at some point between July 1st and when school begins in the middle of August. And you might want to quickly just add these students without having to complete that enrollment upload file, and there is an option for that. On the same enrollment screen that you use to upload a file with a batch information of students, you can also utilize this Enter Student Information section where you must provide information for all of the fields with a red asterisk. Just like data is matched in the overnight process when you do a batch upload using the provided template, the same process occurs for these individually added or enrolled students in the direct certification system. So you enter this information on a Monday. If that student is matched as eligible for meal benefits through the direct certification process, they'll appear in the match list the following day, which in this case would be Tuesday. Now that student enrollment data has been provided to the system, let's take a look at the match list and possible match list options you might view in order to identify students who should receive meal benefits. The match list contains information for all students who have been directly certified for meal benefits in the current school year. This list is available at the green tile on the direct certification home screen, and the last list date identifies the most recent date for which data was evaluated to generate matches. The match list page has a variety of functions including filter, sort, and view, as well as the export option to allow you to print the match list for your records. The search from and to dates can be important, and at the beginning of each new school year, the NDE Nutrition Services will communicate to school contacts by email the appropriate search from date after our team has ensured that old data tables have been cleared and can no longer be used for matching in the new school year. The data columns inside the red box on the screenshot below identify the various ways that data in the match list can be sorted or filtered. Information can be organized according to list date, from newest to oldest or oldest to newest. They can be grouped by qualifying program like SNAP or Medicaid free. The information can be alphabetized by first or last name, as well as grouped by gender, male or female. You could also choose to filter, organize, or sort data based on students from oldest to youngest or youngest to oldest. You can also sort by school number in order to generate a list of matched students who are grouped according to the building in which they're enrolled. You can also choose to sort by student IDs, both local and NDE. This picture shows the options for the number of records that can be viewed per page. The options are set at 10 records per page, 25, or 50. You're able to print a match list by first exporting the list to a CSV file that will save to your computer. Then you can print the match list from that downloaded file. The Print List button does not reliably allow a user to print the match list. The Possible Match List tab produces a list of students who have NDE and DHHS data, but for whom a 100% match cannot be made by the system because of possible slight differences in the data that is used to do the matching. Therefore, users need to review the possible match list in order to approve or deny those potential matches. Notification emails are sent when possible matches have been identified, and some common reasons for students to appear in the possible match list and not the verified match list include slight differences in their name, maybe a spelling error or hyphenated last names, possibly different dates of birth because of, again, a typo or entry issue that occurred there, or being identified as the incorrect, or the genders maybe not matching between the DHHS data and the NDE data. So that's why we ask school staff to evaluate those possible matches and make a determination on whether that student is in fact enrolled at their school. This is an example that demonstrates a possible match of 82%. The closer the score to 100%, the more confident the system is that the student information provided by DHHS and NDE is for the same person. However, school staff are required to evaluate this information to ensure the student does belong at that school. Differences in the data submitted are highlighted in orange. After school staff have evaluated the possible match, and they'd like to confirm that this match is a student that is enrolled at their school, select the match button. The student will then be added to the match list. If school staff have evaluated the possible match and determine it is not a student enrolled at their school, select the No Match button, and then the student will not be added to the match list. For school staff that are unsure about a possible match, then we recommend that they make no selection on this screen and instead utilize the student lookup option, which we'll talk about next. It's possible that students with an enrollment record for your school could receive benefits that make them eligible for meal benefits at school as well. However, they may not appear in the match list because all of the fields of information provided in their enrollment record do not exactly match the fields of information provided through DHHS's systems. Therefore, you can utilize the student lookup function by clicking the blue student lookup box on the direct certification screen or selecting from the lookup menu across the top of the direct certification screen. Just like all information about student meal eligibility, utilizing the student lookup function requires that you agree to the confidentiality agreement that whatever information you find in the system cannot be shared with others. The student lookup option is possible in a couple of ways. Search option 1 requires use of an NDE student ID, where you would enter that unique 10-digit ID in the search bar and then click the green Search for Student button. If no matches are made on the NDE student ID, the message in red text will appear. You can also search by other student information outside of the NDE ID, and this screen looks a lot like one we saw earlier in the match list, which we used to search by individual student. The same information will be populated on this screen, and all of the items that have a red asterisk must be provided in order for the system to do the work of identifying a match. If the search is successful, then a table of information will be provided under the words Search Queue, and the system will provide all of the essential information, including the student's first and last name, their gender, date of birth, and then their address, city, and zip code, along with the person identified as their parent or guardian. After clicking the green Submit Search Queue button on the previous slide, and watching the system process records until there are 0 remaining to process, utilize the Lookup Results option from the Lookup drop-down in the menu of options across the top of the page. The page will display a number of student records with a confidence score in the column second from the left for each of the entries. You can review the available options to determine if a student should be reviewed and then accepted, or removed from your list because it's a student that is not in fact enrolled at your school. Let's take a closer look at the lookup results table that displays. The student is identified at the top of each entry. In this example, we have enclosed it in a red box. The possible match with name, date of birth, and gender is populated just below the student name, and in the example here, we see it's enclosed in the green box. Take note of the confidence score available in the column second from the left. This score is meant to reflect the confidence that the system has that the information provided by DHHS about benefit eligibility matches that student's information provided through the school to the NDE systems utilizing student enrollment upload, a student lookup perhaps, or for private schools, person ID, and for public schools, advisor enrollment information. For each of the entries that populates the lookup results table, you can feel confident to remove those with a score of 0%. However, those with a reasonably high score are ones you would want to review. You may be able to identify if the student populated in the lookup results table is in fact a student enrolled at your school. At that time, you'll be able to accept that student, and then they will begin to populate the match list you see in the direct certification system. Another feature available to help with the administration components of the meals program is direct verification. The following slides will cover the ins and outs of direct verification and explain to you how and when to use this feature. There might be times when you need to directly verify a student's eligibility of categorical benefits for the meals program. For example, a meal application with a case number provided for SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR should be accepted at face value for the purpose of issuing meal benefits. These categorically eligible meal benefits are part of your verification pool and could be selected as part of your random sample for completing the verification process by November 15th. There is an exception to when these applications would be part of your selection pool for verification. Students in the direct certification match list who also submitted a meal application would have their benefits issued through direct certification. Therefore, a submitted meal application for those students would not be included in the verification pool from which you would randomly select applications to verify. Now, there are a few benefits of utilizing the direct verification option in the direct certification verification system. You can verify categorical eligibility prior to sending out verification request letters. This inherently reduces the administrative burden for school staff, as well as the burden on household members to produce income verification information. Direct verification has an option to utilize an application upload feature, which is the best option when you have a number of sample applications that you need to complete the verification process, and therefore you want to upload a single file with a number of students identified instead of entering those individual students' information one by one. This process also produces some more immediate results. Completing the direct verification application upload requires completing the template that's available from the direct verification system. The template provides or requires 5 pre-formatted columns with all of the fields required for a successful upload to identify verified students. The application number is one that is not determined by NDE. It can be a coding configuration that each individual school food authority identifies works for them. You'll also provide the student's last name, their first name, their gender, identified by a single letter M or F, and finally their date of birth, separated by slashes between the month, the day, and the year. Save that completed file as a CSV, a text, or an Excel file before uploading into the system. Like the other upload functions or screens in the DC system, the same appears for direct verification, where you select the completed file and then click the green upload button. A successful upload is indicated when students populate the verification results table at the bottom of the page. And this system is a little bit different than the direct certification system, where, remember, that matching process occurs overnight. So the results are not immediately available. It's different here, where immediate results for students included in the template will definitely display in the table below. If you have single or just a small number of students for whom you'd like to verify they do receive SNAP, TANF, or FDPIR benefits, you can enter individual student information on the screen you see here, ensuring you provide information for all of the fields as they all have a red asterisk. If you've successfully entered student data, it will appear in the student table, and the application is then submitted for results. So like we said, this is a great option for a small or just single number one-by-one kind of lookup feature for verification of categorical eligibility for meal benefits. Verification results appear in a table that looks like others we've seen throughout this training. You can print the verification results using the blue print list button. We want to draw your attention to 3 columns. All of the students you enter into the direct verification system will appear and have their own row in the populated table. However, the information that really matters for the purpose of verifying categorical eligibility for meal benefits resides in the 3 columns on the right-hand side of the table. As you can see in the 2 examples here, both students, Jane and John, were not verified to be eligible for categorical benefits for meal eligibility purposes, and it also displays the date for which these results were looked up. It is possible that a student's status could change, so the system provides the verified date so that you have documentation to be able to explain why and or when meal benefits for a specific student may have been added, because you're able to identify them through this direct verification process, for example. Let's take a closer look at what the answers in the verified column mean. An answer of yes means the student submitted in the verification lookup does appear in the DHHS database and qualifies for assistance that was recorded in the meal application. An answer of no means a student does not appear in the database, and therefore their meal benefits in the student information system need to be adjusted accordingly. A student with a verified status of rejected means that student already appears in the match list for the current school year. If this is the case, and this application was randomly selected for verification, it does need to be replaced with a different application in order to reach the minimum threshold for completing the verification process. And additional training and information provided for correctly completing the verification process is provided in other resources available from Nutrition Services. Now let's take a look at the options that might appear in the program column of the results table. DIRCRT means that the student appears in the match list. Again, a new application must be selected for the purpose of completing verification. A program match of SNAP, TANF, FDPIR,